Hi everyone, my name is Kaya. Thanks for stopping in today. I make content about intentional, simple living. I do things fairly minimally, crunchy, and thoughtfully. If any of that sounds interesting to you, I'd love it if you subscribed. So getting into the topic of today's video, we are going to be talking about minimalist things that I actually used for our baby. I've had 2 children now, and so I've found that there's things I like and just things that we didn't need. I feel like when you first become a mom, there are just so many decisions to make consumeristically. You start getting your baby registry ready and you're just didn't realize that there's so many products out there for your baby. And so I feel like it's a little exhausting to think about what you'll need. And so I wanted to make this video. I will say though that these are things that helped me, and your list may be totally different. Becoming a parent is such a unique experience. Every parent is different depending on what kind of things they value, what decisions they're making for them and their family. And so these are just decisions that I made for me and my family and the things that helped support those decisions. But your list may be different, and things that I find helpful you may not have, and vice versa. With that, I also want to recommend just a way to be more intentional about the whole having a baby and figuring out what works for you and your family. Is the best thing you can do is go to thrift stores and yard sales and Facebook Marketplace. I have loved getting to thrift. I would say probably 90% of the things that we've used for our babies and other things were generously given to us at baby showers and such. But yeah, thrifting's the best, because instead of buying the fancy carrier for like $90 to $100, you can buy it for like $5. And if you hate it, it was $5. So I have loved thrifting, just so many things, and it's just less waste because babies and parents don't honestly end up using these things for very long at all. So I just kind of like this village mentality of sharing it, even if it's through a thrift store. Even better if you have family or friends who have had kids and are just wanting to share stuff around. I just love that. So yeah, all that to say, with this list, see how many of the things you can thrift or buy secondhand if that's up your alley. So, all right, so I've broken all the things into categories to kind of keep it more organized. So the first category we're going to be talking about is diapering. Obviously in that list, you need diapers and wipes. This baby, she's still a baby. We're using EveryLife disposable diapers and wipes. I've tried a whole bunch of different diapers and wipes. I do like the ones that are not the mainstream, like store brand ones. Basically the ones that don't have like parabens, lotions, dyes, fragrance. So that just seems to be gentler on their skin. And I mean, I try not to be too uptight about all of those things. We've been given diapers that do have those things, and I've used them on my kids, but actually I've noticed that my daughter this time would break out to those kind of diapers. Her skin seems to be a little more sensitive. So anyways, I really opt for the lower tox disposable diapers. With our first and with our second, we're on a little break from cloth diapering, but we did cloth diapers. I think these are a really great way to be intentional in just not creating a bunch of waste in the landfill. Obviously that's just part of life, but anyways that we can reduce the waste is cool, and also it saves money. Anyways, these are the ones we're using this time. I have several different setups, and I might do a whole video about that sometime if you guys would be interested in that. But we've tried the Grovia, and these are Mama Koala. Yeah, in the diapering category, I would say that's it, really, for the most part. There's obviously things like Diaper bags, I did thrift this one at the thrift store for like $2, but I would say that you can use any backpack. I mean, we used this for like maybe 2 months of her, like when she was born. We just don't use them a long time. We just like to use any backpack we have around the house. So if you want to be a real minimalist, don't get a diaper bag. As far as creams and things like that, thankfully our babies haven't had very bad diaper rashes. I think the diaper choices do kind of help with that, choosing more non-tox diapers, but also I will say that some baby's skin is just more sensitive and so more prone to diaper rash. I've found that coconut oil works great. So those are kind of things in the diaper category that worked for us. Again, really simple. If you just want to keep it as minimal as possible, have diapers and wipes and maybe a little changing pad to put out or a blanket. So yeah, we'll move on to the next category, which is sleep. This category also doesn't have a lot in it for me. So we co-sleep. So the first thing on the list is a good mattress protector. Having baby in bed, there are just things that happen, leaks, blowouts, all that. So the second thing on the list would be a co-sleeper, bassinet, or they're called like sidecars. Just if you're kind of uncomfortable about bringing baby into your bed with you right away, this was kind of nice. We used it with our first more so. In this category too though, I would recommend this book by the La Leche League. It's called Sweet Sleep, and so this is nighttime and naptime strategies for the breastfeeding family. So this goes through all about how to safely co-sleep and tons of great information. Even if you're like in just a different lifestyle or it goes through lots of different kinds of demographics. And so anyways, I found this really useful book in just the facts behind co-sleeping, as I know it can be kind of controversial and make a lot of people nervous, which I totally get. So anyways, this talks about how to do it safely. The sleep category, I would just say you need a safe spot for your baby to sleep. So whether that's crib or in bed with you, and then, you know, some linens for those things. Sleep sacks, we didn't really do those. We tried some that we were given, and both children did not like sleep sacks. And as far as soothers, we didn't do pacifiers, but again, just so many decisions that are so personal based on your desires and preferences and even the baby's preferences. My minimalist was this book, a good mattress protector, and maybe the little side crib thing if you want for the first few months. So moving on to the next category, linens. So again, such a minimal category. These are super handy. So the first thing on the list is just some of these ginormous swaddles. Yeah, they can be used for swaddling. They're super multi-purpose. You can throw it on as a nursing cover, you know, tie it in the back if you want. And yeah, again, this is what you can use for changing your baby's diaper on. Just set it out in front of you. Just a simple, lightweight car seat blanket, stroller blanket, whatever. They can be used for quite a long time, and I like how big they are. I also have, and I could put that maybe in the feeding category, but those little, I'll just talk about it now. Those little nursing pads, people buy disposable ones. I had a set of reusable ones that are just the little circle pad that you can stick in your bra to help with the leakage. Going on to the next thing, clothes. This is probably the most fun one for people. Honestly though, your baby doesn't need a lot. This is a minimal baby registry thing. So my recommendations is that with babies, less is more. I have bigger babies, and so they grow out of stuff super fast. Either way, you really don't need a ton of clothes. And when it comes to clothes, I would just recommend really simple stuff. The cutesy outfits are fun for pictures. Maybe have one of them if that's your thing. But if you just want to keep it simple and minimal, these are great. The little sleepers. I don't feel embarrassed to take my baby out in public, even in a sleeper. It's so nice. It's just like one whole outfit because, you know, you got the zippers and yeah, shirt, pants, all one thing. Easy to do diaper changes. Obviously, if it's the summer, onesies, also just a very simple, you know, over the head. I like this because it's not over the head. They do make the onesies that like button down the side, which are real fancy, but you don't see a lot of those around. But anyways, I like this because it's not over their head. My children hate like when they're babies, hate things going over their head. It's very frustrating to them. So that's why I like these. I would just say having a little rotation for each size of like maybe 7 of these. I don't know, about that much. And yeah, just we wash clothes fairly regularly, so that seems to be about enough. And like I said, maybe a couple onesies and pants, but really, again, keep it simple. People will probably love to buy your baby clothes anyways, but you probably will just find that you don't need a ton of clothes and your baby will likely not get to wear a lot of the clothes they have if they have an excess. So the next category is baby monitors or baby electronics. So we keep that real simple. I just unplugged it from the little cord, but this is a corded sound monitor. It just turns on and you can hear it go whatever. And so yeah, it's just a sound one. And we've always had our children in 2 like level houses, so like upstairs, downstairs bedrooms, you know, living areas separate. So anyways, they seem to work. I can hear when they start making noises and I just run down there and kind of peek at them, see if they're awake. Try not to wake them up if they were just making noises in their sleep. Some people like all the camera monitors because they like to be able to like see their baby. That doesn't stress me out, so I just use the little voice one. So the next category we will get into is toys and books. Your kid will need toys eventually, but I would say as a baby, they really don't need much. They are just, they want you. And so really simple things. I mean, they love to play with a little whisk, a spoon, whatever. We've bought, with our first, we bought her some nicer like wooden toys. I don't know, we kind of fell into the marketing of that. And they were beautiful, and she did play with some of them. But then she'd also grab like a plastic water bottle and be chewing on it. I was like, why do we buy these expensive toys? She's just chewing on whatever's around. And I think that's pretty true with babies. We're kind of talking about all the things you'll need for like a baby under a year. And so, yeah, I mean, you can get simple like little wooden toys. This is cute. I put this on our registry with our first, and it's just black and white. Babies love, like really young babies love high contrast images, like I think under 3 months. This was like, I don't know, $5. It says 8 on the back, but off of Amazon. So yeah, there's things like that that you can get and maybe have a tiny assortment, but really you don't need a lot. The next category is baby carriers. This one I was probably an awful minimalist on because I had tried out a whole bunch of different kinds of baby carriers and still have a decent amount. But I will tell you how to be minimal in it. It was more just because I wanted to try them out, and I loved always having my baby close and just the snuggles, and it was just an easy way to be hands-free and keep them happy and content. But anyways, they're all basically very similar. So I would just say the two categories of ones that you would need is a soft structured wrap and then or a soft wrap and then a structured carrier. And so the soft one is great for tying. It's just basically a long stretchy piece of fabric, which is nice because it just fits so many different body styles. And anyways, sometime I might do a video about how to tie them. It's not too hard after you get the hang of it, and it doesn't take too long to learn. But anyways, those are nice. This one specifically says it's from 15 to 40 pounds, but this is the Ergo Baby Organic. I found this one at a thrift store and it was probably my most exciting find. It's just a super cute design, organic cotton. But anyways, basically they're all very similar. This kind just buckles around your waist, like so. And then, you know, you'll put the baby in, pull it back, and buckle in the back. There's different variations of this, but they're all pretty similar. This one just provides a little more structure and support. But yeah, I would say having those, and really if you, again, it's all about trying out what you like. I'd say if I could only own one, I would own a structured one, something like this, because it's probably my favorite. But both can serve different purposes. This one you can have a newborn in, this one you shouldn't. But anyways, next category, bathing and like sick care, baby care. Sorry, that clap was loud. So for bathing, I personally did not use those little baby baths. We just, at the very beginning, actually didn't give our baby a ton of baths. Again, that's just maybe more of our little crunchy thing. Overbathing a baby, like giving them baths with harsh soaps a lot of times can be really rough on their just soft, precious skin. So they're, of course, you know, if there's a big mess, a blowout, get your baby clean. But most of the time, again, we just did little sponge baths with a wet washcloth, or just clean them up really good with wet wipes after a diaper change and or during a diaper change. And so yeah, when we did do baths though, I would actually just bathe with the baby. They're just so little, we just bathe, get them all clean, and I could hold and support them well. And so we didn't need the little bath seats and having to store them. Although I think there are cool ones now that like fold up, like so they're easier to store, but those big clunky ones, not something I wanted to store. So anyways, we just did that and it worked. And you can do like sink baths too. So yeah, it doesn't have to be real complex. You can use your own washcloths. You don't need all the like cutie baby towels. Again, they're fun. People might buy them for you and that's okay. But we have like these like mid-sized towels that aren't like a full bath towel. And they're not a washcloth. They're like a maybe hand towel. I don't know. We have a whole stack of those. So we just use those for the baby. Or you can even wrap them up in a big old bath towel. It works just fine. So I would say if you don't get baby bath towels, don't go out and buy them. Just use your towels. Same with washcloths. The only checklist of the thing you need for a baby bath, I would say, is really gentle soap. If you're not already using a gentle soap yourself, you might want to buy the baby specifically an unscented, just pure Castile soap that you dilute with water. And that works fine on their skin. Oh yeah, and as far as like baby care stuff, a thermometer is handy to have on hand in case they are running fever and you're not sure. Obviously, that's something you can put on a registry. Nail kit, something to clip their nails. We had this one on our registry. These teeny tiny nail scissors. They're cute and they worked fine. Their nails are usually soft enough too, if they let you. Sometimes you can just kind of barely gently pick at them and they'll just peel off. But this has a little glass nail file too. Random tweezers. I haven't used these for their nails, but I did use it to pull a bee stinger out of my daughter's head. Sad story. Anyways, so just something, a little nail kit. Some people use the nail files. I didn't get those. I just used this. Something for their nails though, because they are sharp and they will scratch you and themselves. So it's handy to have something for their nails. breast milk, breastfeeding is great for babies' immunity and fighting off sicknesses. I could do a whole bunch of nerding out about that sometime, about all the things that are in human breast milk, what your body actually does when your baby is sick to help your baby fight off illness. Super cool. But anyways, so I would say your milk is a great, if you choose to breastfeed and can do that, it's a great thing for sickness. So again, real simple in that category, just a little nail kit, maybe a thermometer for taking care of baby's health, hygiene needs. Oh, also one thing I forgot to add is a boogie sucker for sickness. These are nice to have in case your baby has like a really stuffed up nose. They're just nice. This was just one for my birth kit. I actually recommend getting ones that you can take apart to clean, because these can grow mold, which is kind of gross. But yeah, something like this is really useful for sick. I would put that on an essential list. All right, the next category, which is probably the largest, just because it'll encompass breastfeeding and once your baby starts solids, is feeding. So, first thing, we'll start with like breastfeeding. This book, so good. The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. If you are desiring to breastfeed, this just has so many useful everything you need to know. So much useful information about, I don't know, just anything. Nursing, what it looks like, every stage, problems you might run into. So anyways, the next thing on the list would be a breast pump. I am not a pumping mom since I do get to stay home and exclusively breastfeed. I actually haven't even used this breast pump. It's like still new. But my insurance provided a free one, and so I actually just decided to get it this time just in case. I would say as a minimalist, if you are exclusively breastfeeding, you don't absolutely need a pump, but they're really nice to have on hand. So this is a wearable one, which I kind of like. But yeah, pro tip, you can use Babylist if you have insurance, and they will like handle all of the insurance claims and getting you a free breast pump. So that was handy to know the second time around. Anyways, also for breastfeeding, I would say with the pump, just having like 1 or 2 bottles was my minimalist essential. Since I'm not formula feeding or pumping and having to have somebody else feed our baby regularly, I just had a couple on hand for date nights, and with that too, milk bags. Yeah, these ones I found at a thrift store and still haven't really used many of them. But yeah, it's kind of nice because it was like brand new and just somebody else didn't need all of them. So yeah, you can check thrift stores for even something like this. And so I would put that on the list if you want to store milk. Another useful thing in the feeding category is a haka. I'm sure if you've watched anything about breastfeeding, you've seen these a lot. But yeah, they're really handy. It's just basically a little kind of handheld pump, and it is a pump, so if you're not wanting to make a lot extra milk, just be aware of that when putting it on the other side, or just using it to collect milk, because it does pump milk out, so it can increase your milk supply. But anyways, yeah, they're handy to have on hand if you just need to pump a little bit extra and you don't want to, like, even though these are less parts, I would say, than all the tubing and the corded pumps or the bigger grade pumps, there's still several pieces to wash with this one. So I always love just having this thing because it's super easy to wash. And yeah, I brought these up earlier. I just brought them out to show you what I was talking about. So these are like reusable nursing pads, and again, they're just handy for leakage. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory, but some kind of thing to do that. It's just kind of handy to have while on the go. Reusable ones are nice because you can wash them and less waste. Another thing that was kind of on my list was a nursing cover. I would say if you're on the fence about getting a nursing cover, you don't have to. as far as Minimalist Registry goes. I have rarely used this because our babies hate being covered up. They like to kick it off. Both kids did this, and just pull it off. So it didn't really work great, but this one was pretty and soft, so I don't know. It's a cool idea. But yeah, it didn't get used a lot, so I would say if you're on the fence about it, or you don't even have to cover up. They also make breastfeeding friendly clothes. I would maybe recommend that because that just makes it a little more comfortable, nursing in public or whatever. But yeah, I find that these things I only use for like a couple months anyways, because when the baby's actually nursing all the time. Besides that, we're at home again most of the time, and when we do go out, I'm not out for long periods of time, so I don't feel bad just holding her off for a little bit if need be, or just using the car. I don't know. So anyways, so now into the like feeding, like when they start solids. First thing I would recommend, we did baby-led weaning with our kids, which is just basically doing solid foods to start out with instead of pureed food or baby food. So I think that's kind of becoming more popular anyways. But an app that really helped me out with that is called Solid Starts. Again, none of these things are sponsored. This is just, yeah, just things that worked. But it's a free app, but I think there is like an upgrade if you want to track. But it's free to look up like all the different foods and whether it's safe to give that to your baby or not yet, like at what age, and then how it shows you pictures of how to prepare the food. So it's like the best for them to grasp and maneuver, and also just like what's safe for chewing. So anyways, I would recommend that on the essentials list. Also a high chair. Dinnerware, I would just say like having 1 or 2 of these little suction plates / bowls. We have 1 plate and 1 bowl, and half the time we don't even use this actually too. Sometimes we just throw the food on the tray for her to eat, because sometimes this, like, she figures out how to pull it up even though it has a pretty good section. So anyways, but I used it the other night for spaghetti, so yeah, something like this is nice. And then they have little tiny feeding utensils too that fit in their baby hands really well. Just little silicone ones that go with it. I'd say a little cup like this is handy. We don't do sippy cups or things like that. We just teach the baby when she starts solids to just drink out of an open cup. This one's nice. They're like weighted on the bottom, so it's less likely to tip over. And then there's a couple different style bibs that I would put on the essentials. Honestly though, again, if you want to be real minimal, I would argue that you don't need a bib. Half the time, over half the time, we just take all of their clothes off down to the diaper when they eat because it's so messy that I feel like the bib doesn't do a good job keeping all their clothes protected anyways. And so it's just easier to strip them down and then clean them all up afterwards. But sometimes if I'm not in the mood to do that, we do use these sometimes. So the ones that have the little pockets, kind of handy to like catch food that would fall in their lap, and easy to wash because it's silicone. This one I do have to put in the washing machine to wash it, which is kind of, doesn't get washed as often, so it's just kind of only in the rotation once in a while again. But these are nice, these little t-shirt bibs, because they basically cover up like almost their whole front, so it protects a lot more of their clothing. But anyways, yeah, I think that's all for feeding. The only other category I have, which I don't have the things inside with me, so I'm just gonna talk about them, which is like transportation. So I would say a minimal must-have, obviously, is a car seat. We do use an infant car seat with our babies when they're little. I would say if you are wanting to invest in a brand new car seat and you just want to keep it as minimal as possible, just going right away for the convertible. That is what we end up using once they get out of the 6-month-ish phase, 6 to 9 months. And the reason I like having the infant is just simply to carry them into places without having to like wake them up and take them out of their car seat. just like going into a store and such. But yeah, like I said, if you just want to be minimal, I would say opt for the convertible car seat. Sorry, just found the spoon. This was I was talking about earlier. But yeah, convertible car seat. Obviously, it can do rear facing, which you need to do for a long time, and then it can also front face, and some of them can work all the way up to like booster seat age. So we try to opt for the one that'll last the longest. And yeah, that's what you need for car seats. The last thing would be some kind of stroller. You want to keep it simple. Most of the time an umbrella stroller is nice. Those are just those little fold up strollers. They have those tiny wheels. But if you're somebody who likes to be more active and you want to like jog or go on nature trails or things like that, there's obviously more heavy duty strollers that can handle that better than your simple little tiny stroller. So we, this time, having two, and I do value going to the park with friends and going for walks and stuff, I found a secondhand Bob stroller, the double strollers. And so that's kind of nice because my oldest sometimes wants to walk, but sometimes wants a stroller ride. So it's just nice having that option to have a double stroller. But for the stroller, I would just say it depends what season of life you're in. Are you in? Is this your first, second, or more? That'll kind of depend on the kind of stroller you're looking for and what your lifestyle is like. One last thing. In the parenting book category, I feel like I might do a separate video sometime just with my favorite parenting books and talking about them. But this one's really applicable for babies under a year. It's called The Attachment Parenting Book by Dr. William Sears. Love this one. He writes a whole bunch of other ones. They're on the back. But anyways, really like this. This set the foundation for like the way we parent and why, and I don't know. I kind of stumbled upon these parenting tactics in this book, but then I read it like 3 months in and was like, oh, yay, somebody else is like recommending this. So anyways, it may be useful for you if some of these kind of things like co-sleeping or baby wearing, nursing, things like that are interesting to you. This might be a book. That's a great resource. Yeah, I think that's all the things that I would put on my minimalist baby registry. That still felt like kind of a lot of things that I talked about, but I promise you it's a lot more minimal than all the things you could have. But yeah, the reason I recommend being as minimal as possible too with baby stuff is when you have a brand new baby, I feel like the last thing you want to do is just being a stuff manager. And that can just happen so quickly, especially with babies, because it feels like such a blessing to like a mom to get her a bunch of stuff. And while that's true, it is a blessing to receive things that you would actually need and use for your baby. There is like such a thing as having too much, and that not being a blessing, actually a burden, when you're trying to take care of your little baby and really all they need is you. You just don't want a bunch of extra stuff that comes with the whole consumeristic baby kids market. I would say keeping it as simple and minimal as possible is a way to just maintain really like good mental health too. So yeah, I'm gonna do a whole separate video for things that are helpful for mom that you could also put on your baby registry to aid in healing. So I'm gonna get into that a different time, but yeah, I'm so glad that you joined me today for this list of minimalist baby registry things. Yeah, thanks again for stopping in. I will probably post a little list in the description of all the things I covered today, just for a quick reference. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.